board members unless permitted by the chair. Individuals who engage in disruptive behavior that impedes official business will be asked to stop being disruptive or leave the meeting. Additional measures may be taken to have disruptive individuals removed if their continued presence poses a safety risk to the other persons in the room or makes it impossible to continue the meeting. We want to run around and do introductions real quick.
Nisha Barrett, Peterson Police Fire Management Law Enforcement.
Mike Fletcher, Columbia 911 represent.
I'm Mo Young. I'm one of your new community representatives.
Mark Daniel, Chief of Police, City of Mount Angel, and representing the Oregon Association Chiefs of Police.
Shelby Wright, Executive Assistant, DPSST.
Paul Lopez, Executive Assistant, DPSST.
Detective Scotty Downing from Salem Police, I represent non-human law enforcement.
Jennifer Cameron, Lynn County Fall Probation. I represent non-management Fall Probation.
Phil Castle, DPSST.
Abby Big, DPSST.
Matt English, Sugar River County, representing Oregon State Sheriff's Association.
Julie Collinson, Assistant Dean. DPSST. Caleb Allrock, Fire Program Manager, DPSST. Jennifer Martin, DPSST. Jennifer Howell, DPSST.
Same thing, PPSST.
Bob Wood, PPC member. Or Jones,
Shannon Anderson, OSU Chief of Police.
All right, we'll go to online members. When I call out your name, can you please introduce yourself? We'll start off with member Lenzen.
Hi, Dan Lenzen, board member representing private security and chairing the Private Security Investigators Policy Committee.
Member Day.
Hi, Bob Day, Portland Police.
Member Heppel.
Chris Apple, Deputy Chief, Eugene Springfield Fire, representing Oregon Fire Chiefs Association.
Member Hasenkamp.
Jeremy Hazenkamp, representing private security.
Member Morneau.
Joseph Morneau, President, Coburg Fire, representing OFDDA.
Member Caballero Rubio.
Maria Caballero Rubio, I'm a member, public member. Sorry, thank you.
And member Rowan.
Sheriff Terry Rowan, Umatilla County Sheriff's Office, representing Oregon State Sheriff's Association.
And Bill Steele.
And Bill Steele, Interim Deputy Director of DPSST.
Thanks. Approval of minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at our April 25th board meeting minutes. If there's no issues, additions, changes, I'd entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
Mike Fletcher, for the record, I'll move to accept as presented. Mark Daniel, I'll second.
All right, this is a motion to approve the April 25th, 2024 board meeting minutes. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Hasenkamp.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morneau.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Rowan.
Aye.
And Member Young.
I'm gonna abstain.
Motion passed.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to move into the criminal justice policy or consent agenda. We'll come back to policy committee updates. So consent agenda is items U. Entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Mark Daniel, for the record, motion to approve the consent agenda. Mike Fletcher, I'll second.
All right, motion to approve the criminal justice consent agenda, items A through U. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Hasenkamp.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morneau.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Rowan.
Aye.
And Member Young.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thanks. So we'll move to consent agenda for private security. There was just one item, committee appointments. Floor is open for a motion to adopt the consent agenda of private security.
Third, I'll move.
And I'll second, excuse me.
Thank you.
All right, this is a motion to approve the private security investigator consent agenda. Item A, Chair English,
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher,
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp,
Aye.
Member Heppel,
Aye.
Member Lenzen,
Aye.
Member Morno,
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Rowan,
Aye.
and Member Young.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to Director Castle for policy option packages.
All right, thank you very much, Chair. Phil Castle for the record. We appreciate having me here to talk about this today. This is for your approval. We'll be asking for your vote on these, for your approval of our policy option packages. This is for the 25-27 session that we're about to go into. We've been developing the policy option packages over the last several months in coordination with the governor's office. We've been having conversations about these. I wanted to go over these. I'm not going to go over them in detail. I'm going to stay at a high level, answer any questions that you might have about them. There's three main packages we're talking about here: a high-level learning management system, some positions that are mostly focused on regional support, training infrastructure, which would be buildings that we're asking for on the campus itself, and then the last one, which is required for all state agencies to do every biennium, is our deferred sort of maintenance that needs to be done on the facility, and this is a procedural item. Our total ask for policy option packages is 132 million. It's a lot. And it's really the bulk of it is coming from the buildings that we are asking for on the installation. So starting at the top, we've prioritized our number one policy option package is the learning management system. Learning management system for most professional institutions have a learning management system. It is a remote access training platform that's digital, and it allows you, would allow us to share curriculum, develop curriculum for all of our constituents, for all of our disciplines across the state of Oregon. And it's something that we wanted for many biennia now. We've asked for it quite a bit, and we've decided to sort of dig our heels into this one and make it our number one. We think that we can do the most good with this and reach the most of our constituents. We've heard across the state on our listening tour that this is something that would be really needed, and we could just really extend our reach. What we can provide and save our constituents a lot of money for training that they have to spend money on now that they potentially wouldn't have to in the future. So that would be our number one. There are multiple costs you see listed underneath it. When you price these out, they ask you to consider, if you were to buy this off the shelf, whether you would have it built in-house, which is it's not feasible for this organization. We don't have a large enough IT department to do something like that. So ours would be an off-the-shelf product that we would buy. So this price is our best cost, which includes the people to support it both on a temporary basis as you implement, which is a long and significant project to implement something like this, as well as those who would build the curriculum for you on an ongoing basis. The second pop here is our positions coming out of our 60-person course and our listening tour. So in combining those things together, we arrived at some needs that we have. The good news is on the training side proper here at the Academy, we feel pretty good overall as far as our staffing. So we're in a pretty good place with our staffing there. Really what our shortfall is the admin support. When we went before the legislature last session to get these additional positions. We're very focused on training, on everything down in the village and D building and our instructors and so forth. And we were kind of conservative and didn't do a lot for our administrative side. These extra folks, extra trainers and so forth require support. Like we need somebody in HR. Our buildings, we stress those right to the max. They're almost 20 years old now. We need a plumber. We found in private security that we just don't have enough investigators. We need 2 more investigators there. That said, that's for the academy proper. Most of these are really focused on regional support. So you'll see in there, there's an FTO coordinator and an FTO trainer in there. We're hearing that all across the state that we need to standardize FTO training, and we need to be offering a lot more FTO training and support. 2 wildfire trainers. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. We don't have anybody who trains wildfire at this point, so we're asking for those. And let's see, am I missing anything there? And then a couple more regional trainers for law enforcement. Because we only have 5 and none of those are funded. So we take those out of Hyde now. We're trying to get some funding behind our law enforcement regional trainers. Training infrastructure. Essentially, 3 buildings we're asking for. We're asking for a dormitory classroom building, so it would be an additional dorm connected, loosely connected to the current dorm that we have, which would have classrooms on the bottom, would have locker rooms for, which we currently don't have, locker rooms for those who are local, who didn't want to stay in the dorms, thereby giving us some more space, yet giving them a place to shower, change and store their equipment and so forth, which we think is really important. It includes a fire training classroom that's a dirty classroom, which we haven't had in the past, that we really want. We want to be able to host all kinds of fire training here on the academy. And there are a couple other classrooms and such on the bottom floor. The second building we're asking for is what we would call a tilt up, I guess, a large open space building that is very flexible, where we could move any kind of vehicle. You could have running vehicles inside of the building, you can control the lighting, you can make it low light training. We could have ladder trucks in there, put the military in there, like a huge covered training space that has some climate control in there, that we can train large groups of people. This was a deficit during a 60-person training. We did not have enough covered training space. We have an issue right now with I've briefed about before, with our current village building. It has a large crack up the side of it, and is requiring some engineering and repair and so forth. So covered training spaces is at a premium here in the academy, and this would provide that and give us lots of flexibility as we go into the future. And finally, a facilities building. Currently, we have our facilities team, their shop, if you will, where they do their repairs and maintenance. They have their administrative area. It's down in our village, and that is not ideal. Our village is an unarmed area, no sharp objects, so forth, and we have our training facilities folks down there, and we would like to remove them from there and have a building up here for our facilities staff and all the maintenance of equipment. Right now, we have a lot of trainers that work down in the village that don't have a workspace, and this would provide that workspace for them, as well as pulling our facility staff up here. The reason for that overflow is because we added 22 FTEs, mostly on the training side, so we haven't accommodated that at this point. This would help do that. Buildings are financed in a different way from the state. They're bond funded, so it's not coming out of general fund. It comes from the sale of bonds, so it follows a different route for approval. This is happening. We're asking for these things now, and at this point, I'll tell you that as we sit here today, we're being well supported. We've got some good trust built up with the legislature and the governor's office, which is great. Doesn't mean these all go through. Doesn't mean that these can be afforded. But we are asking to proceed with these at this time. I won't go over the deferred maintenance. There's a lot of things in there. You do that at your leisure, but those top three are really important. And I'll stop there.
I have questions that are, about acronyms.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm guessing that LD means limited duration. So if I'm looking at this top part, then you're asking for, there's a bunch of limited duration and then PF, I don't know what that stands for, but I'm guessing that it's more of a ongoing position. Is that right?
PF, where are you?
That's
So,
behind the positions.
Platform administrator and learning and development specialist, those are both one FTE,
Yeah,
permanent full-time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
sorry, these are really small.
All good. I'm just in my.
Yeah, permanent full-time. I apologize, should have called that out. And I'll tell you why some are LD and some are permanent full-time. So the limited duration ones are really focused on the project of implementing the learning management system. Their positions like the project manager, should be a change manager in there. QA, things like that. You don't need those permanently. Oh, that's way better. You don't need those permanently. You just need them during the. So the full-time ones, like the platform administrator, the learning development specialist, which would be doing your e-learning development, right? You'd be building those courses where you're gonna need those in perpetuity.
So is the ask for this coming biennium? I mean, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, for the next biennium, we have these permanent full-time positions, then is the group going to have to ask again for funding for those? Like, what's the sustainability? Because there's a lot of positions that are permanent full-time
Yes.
listed on here.
So these positions would be started in the biennium. What we're attempting to do with the LMS is get it also bond funded, the system itself. And there's a preference to do it that way. But these folks would be coming out of either CFA, which is what we're most, and I'll explain it, criminal fines and accounting, which is the majority of how this agency is funded. And criminal fines and accounting is just like it sounds. It's all fines from tickets and fines in court and so forth. That's the majority of our funding. We also are funded by FIPT, which is Fire Insurance Premium Tax. But that is a smaller amount, about 5 million out of our $77 million budget. So this would be, those permanent positions would be an increase to our base, right? Our base budget, that it would increase that.
Oh, thank you. GF is general fund?
Yes. We are currently not funded with any general fund.
I wrote down so many other acronyms and now I'm like, where did I see that? Okay, that's helpful.
Any other questions? So confirming, we're just looking for a vote to push all four of these.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. If there are no further questions, I'm looking for a motion to recommend these 4 policy option packages for the next legislative session.
Scotty Downing, second.
Thank you.
All right, so motion to approve DPSST's requested policy option packages as presented by Director Castle, Chair English,
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett. Aye. Member Caballero Rubio,
Aye.
Member Cameron,
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Daniel,
Aye.
Member Fletcher,
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp. Member Hazenkamp.
Yeah, sorry, technical difficulties. Trying to unmute. Aye.
Member Happel,
Aye.
Member Lenzen,
Aye.
Member Morno,
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Rowan,
Aye.
and Member Young.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. For those of you, I know that had a hard stop coming up that we've gotten through all the voting pieces that we needed the quorum for. So if you can stay, fantastic. If not, we understand that you have to go. So we'll move back to item number 3, Fire Policy Committee update. Chief Headfull.
Thank you, Chair and members of the BPSSD board. Chris Heppel, I'm also chair of the Fire Policy Committee. I'll keep it short in that our last meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items. Our next meeting is at the end of August, I believe, on the 28th. We definitely plan on having that and report unless there's questions.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to Police Policy Committee update. Chair Nowing.
Thank you, Chair English, Vice Chair Barrett, members of the board. The Police Policy Committee met on May 16th. We did not have a lack of cases. We approved 6 consent agenda items and reviewed 11 cases, which were all included in today's agenda. We also, Casey Cotting was voted as the new Vice Chair of the Police Policy Committee. Next meeting is August 22nd. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Chair, and we will go to Chair Fletcher for telecommunication policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. TPC met most recently on May 1st. That meeting, we approved administrative closure of 2 cases. We took action on a 3rd case, which was forwarded 2 recommendations to the board that we approved this morning. And our next meeting is August 7th. Answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair. Moving on to myself as Chair of Corrections Policy Committee. So we met on May 8th. We considered 6 cases, and those were on our consent agenda today. And then we also did the approval for the changes to corrections, the basic corrections curriculum, and the recommended changes to OER 25900800085 as presented by Jennifer Howell. And so our next meeting is August 13th. Questions? Right, thanks. We will move to private security update. Chair Lenzen.
Thank you, Chair. We have nothing to report on the Private Security Investigator Policy Committee, except for the committee appointment that we are moving forward, Matt Schultz for appointment to PSIPC to represent the healthcare industry.
Great, thank you. There are no questions for Chair Lenzen. We will move into agency updates.
Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Bill Castle for the record. Right now, we are sort of very focused on balance. We've got 60-person courses, and actually I was just talking to Member Cameron about how quiet things here on campus, and we're just as busy as we normally are. We have 4 BP classes. I think we have a BCL, a telecom right now on campus, so we are very busy. PCL, basic corrections class. I'll do better. I'm sorry. So we are just as busy as we normally are, and we are not resting on our laurels. During the period of time where we were just busting at the seams here, we were come one, come all, as fast as you can. Whoever we could get here to come work, we were doing. Paying. We weren't really being super efficient with our resources. We were just trying to get as many resources here as we could. Now we are really focused on our FTE staff, balancing them out, getting them cross-trained into different disciplines so that we are maximizing the use of our FTE staff and being efficient with our resources. So we're doing that now. We're starting to look at our next year's scheduling, going into 25 and 27 as far as how we are lining up our classes. And we are watching our volumes very carefully. We don't want to rest on our laurels and find ourselves right back in the same position we are. Sort of on using the data that we have the best that we can. We are predicting that we're going to need to do a 60-person force in January. So we are laying that on. We are pre-scheduling that. If for some reason we get there and our volumes don't support that, then we will just line that back to a 40. That's the good news about the way our template is now. We can easily scale back to a 40. It's a little different to scale up. So we have to plan for it to be up that high. And if we need to drop it back, we can. I suspect we'll end up running that 60, and we may need to do another one in 25 as well. So we're watching that very carefully. We do this from a month-to-month basis. We are really interested in still continuing to partner with OSP. Superintendent Cotting and I have continued to have that conversation. We talk about it all the time. Day and I continue to talk about that as well. Because what happens is with this OSP partnership course that we have run, which is the Oregon State Police Partnership, they get 40. That's a normal basic police course that we run here, 40-person class, and they fill as many slots as they possibly can. And we do this about twice a year. Any leftover slots, we generally like to ask Portland Police Bureau to fill those remaining slots. Those are our two biggest agencies in the state. Pulling them out of our general population makes a big difference in how many available slots we have for police to get within 90 days. So it's a strategy that has worked very well, and we're getting good results from those classes. And the two cultures are mixing really, really well, and a lot of positive things coming out of that. We are running an OSP course at this time, by the way, if there is one ongoing as we speak. So we're really looking to continue that. I will be, once Superintendent Cotting and Chief Day and I have more conversations, I will come back to this group asking for the board's support on that as we sort of figure out how to lay that in stone. That's the way we're going to go forward. Right now, as it sounds, as you heard from this, state agencies are really leaning forward for the 25-27 session. We're having those conversations. We're watching the budgets. We're doing those kinds of things. So that's a big deal for us at this time. Wanted to talk about a recent request that Chair English, you may know about this request that we received. Ironically, just after we approved the new basic corrections curriculum, we got a request from Sheriff Hunter from Marion County to consider and explore the possibility of running a corrections course without firearms. Currently, our BCO curriculum, our basic corrections curriculum, includes firearms qualification. And I believe it's 10 sessions, right? 10 sessions, firearms, not including concepts, not including simulations and things like that. Because of the recent legislation for 4002, which is adding conditions for diversion and so forth, jails are reconfiguring to have areas where they contain offenders where they don't need to be armed. And there's from what I'm hearing, this requirement is increasing, and it would be more efficient both on our side, the training side, and on the sheriff's department side, if they were able to have corrections officers that were certified still, but yet not with firearms. So we could create a condition where they receive a certification that was non-firearm. And if they needed to go to a location or a different department where they needed a firearm, we would have to create some kind of bridge course to connect the firearm aspect. We're hearing of several counties that this would be really effective for, and I imagine that this could potentially go to more and more counties as we evolve. So what we're asking for here, one, I'm going to ask Jennifer to talk about sort of procedurally how that would work. What we're going to be looking for from the board today is not a vote on this, but more of a consent that we could explore this. So we're just asking permission to explore this. This could potentially be a money saver for us. It could be a time saver for both agencies and us. So there's lots of good reasons to take a look at this. And, you know, the profession is constantly changing and we have to be able to change with it. Jennifer, can you talk us through procedurally sort of how this would work?
Thank you, Jennifer Howell, for the record. The first step in the process is our request for the board's approval to explore this emerging topic. And with the board's approval, then we move into research-based information, partnerships with constituents. So some preliminary work to gauge where the needs are, assess what the needs are. And then at a later time, we might be looking to the next step of formulating a work group so that we could then dive into what the standards would be and how that would happen. So the most important thing that we would be following is the statutory definition of what a corrections officer is and ensuring that the position or that both, whatever the outcome is, we're still certifying individuals who meet that the definition of corrections officer. And we'll be exploring what the different tracks and paths might be. All of that would be bundled up into additional discussions, recommendations, and to the corrections policy committee, and then also to the board for. So it's a long-term process. Not something that happens quickly. As much as we would love to jump right into it, it does take a little bit of time to work through the balance and find out what the needs are and the impacts. So how will it also impact? What will those changes do for the agency? What will it do for BPSST? So on. It's a hanging, rambling procedure. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. So at this time and you know, additionally, how do we track that? How do we track the difference, you know, between armed and unarmed and, you know, how do we keep track of all that? So what we're just asking for here, Chair and Vice Chair, is consent for us to start doing this work and to take it.
Okay, question, comment? My mind goes down so many rabbit holes when this topic comes up, down to basic, kind of, I think you hit on it, so I think it's a part of that conversation and research. Qualifications, is this gonna change now who can qualify to maybe come into the same facility as people who have higher standards of qualifications? Are we gonna be sharing walls of classrooms with people that maybe have been arrested or have stuff in their past that now disqualifies them from carrying a firearm, yet they're surrounded by a bunch of firearms? I go down so many rabbit holes. I don't know if that's all part of the research and the process before this is something that we want to bite off. I'm curious if another state is already doing this, and if so, how? This is not a project I want to take on, so Jennifer, this has to be written all over it. So I'm grateful to be you too. But I've got a lot of like immediate from the.
Sure. My preliminary response would be that because it's a corrections officer certification, it follows all of the same minimum standards of employment, training, certification, background, moral fitness. It's not changing who can be employed and trained and certified. It's changing how they're trained and that training that is used to then grant them certification. So it's all about the training standards and their job duties and what they do.
But Matt English for the record, knowing a little bit about this, member Cameron will probably remember at our last CPC, we actually heard a moral fitness case from one county that has people in these positions, so it's a certified position. I think what Sheriff Hunter was looking at is I know there's at least 2 counties that are employing people that are unarmed. They have like transition center, work center, you have to have corrections folks, but they don't do transports and things like that. We require firearms, so I think they're looking for expediency to run people through. I guess my concern, I think the Washington County one's going up and running, but is Marion County going to be permanent, or is it, because I know there was discussion about temporarily closing down a piece of the jail to open the work center and then gonna open the jail back up in a year or 2. So is this a temporary to run people through, or is this something that DPSST would, it's, worth the money and time and investment than more than a temporary, type need? That's my concern. But I think, from my perspective, I'm totally fine with DPSST exploring it and getting more information, bringing it back to the committees and the board. I think that makes perfect sense to see what the actual ongoing need is and how many people, can you fill classes up?
Yeah, and as he expressed it, this would be a permanent change. I think he would look at reopening that jail, but the need, he expressed it would be permanent. And I understand there were at least 3, if not 4 counties doing this.
Okay.
At this time.
Yeah, actually, Clackamas has somebody, I just don't know how they run it, because they know Washington's under PNP.
That's my understanding. Is there a better fit? Is it expanding the PNP to incorporate more hands-on or something versus completely changing the corrections?
And that's been talked about too. So there's lots of work to be done here. This would not be a short thing, and there'd be a lot of talking to our constituents and so forth. We just don't want to get obsolete. Stay, with what our customers are going to need, and be able to accommodate them all in this space and not have, it is, each student fires 3,000 rounds. That's a huge expenditure, time and resources. And there are some counties that draw their weapons to send students here. They turn weapons back in and never touch them again. That's just a huge waste if they're, and that's a risk also if they're not regularly training with them and then they have to qualify annually or something like that. They draw that weapon out. They'll be awful nervous too. And that's something that's been brought up. But again, we don't know. Maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe this is this won't be viable. But we thought from what we've heard that it would be worth the exploration.
Number 9.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so my initial concern, I think, is with limited resources, now you've made this group of folks that are pigeonholed that can only do this. Whereas if you have armed folks, they can work in this facility and they can be unarmed, but you can't go the other way. And so now you're really starting to specialize and you're using seats here and you're using public resources to say, we're gonna make this a really narrow thing to save some money up front, maybe save some wages. I don't know what that would look like long-term, but I think you really start, that would be my main concern. Not the actual being able to do it, but is that you want to train people and take spaces for folks that can only work in this type of facility and be correction certified and have to go through the background and have to have all the same requirements other than a firearm. I would be very concerned that Jews is not worth the squeeze with that, but it's just my 1 cent.
For the record, Mike Fletcher. So Scotty, and I went down multiple trails as well. And to your point, Scotty, is the concept seems valid. I could see where you could save money. When this person or this agency takes employee A who's non-certified with weapons, but they want to step up, what's the process? Are they coming back here? What's that class look like? Is it just focused on firearms? Can that be done regionally? I mean, all those things are going, so is there efficiency? I don't know.
There have to be a path to that.
Yeah.
right? Like that's one of the things we've talked about, like there has to be a path to go from unarmed, corrections
Yeah.
to armed corrections. We'd have to build a really patent path for that. We'd have to be able to track it. And if we can't do that, and if there's not possible to do that, then this is probably, like we said, juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Matt English for the record, would it be something, potentially, I think they used to run a class where it was like patrol the corrections and that it's not something that's regularly scheduled necessarily. I know it, more need-based. Is this something that could be stood up at when it was need-based, like, okay, hey, we've got 30 people that we can do a class or, or is it something that you're gonna have to expend a bunch of resources on it? And hopefully we can ferret that out, with the work group.
Yeah, we still have PCOT. Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know, it might be something like that. Yeah.
For the record, is the DOJ somebody that you guys consult when you guys come up into these conversations for like liability? You're giving somebody a correction certification, armed or not armed, something happens, worst case scenario, well, DPSST certified me in correction. I know that can obviously get flushed out, but do you guys consult our DOJ person when we have these conversations as well?
That can be part of the process. It usually just depends on what the question is, and this is probably valid.
Mike Fletcher for the record. Does board member Reese, has he been involved in these conversations?
Phil Cast for the record, no, we haven't had this discussion per se. He and I have been very focused on where his training is occurring.
Right.
There's a lot of energy around
Yes.
where that training is occurring and so forth. Yeah.
Lots of tentacles to this
Yes.
topic.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not opposed to DPSST researching, asking questions, sending surveys, having conversations. And then just would. That along the way. If that needs to be make a move or if it's just a consensus is what you're looking for.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting conversation, but
Anybody have
Any opposition? Yeah. All right, hearing none, I think there's consensus to explore it.
Thank you. A couple last things as part of the update. We had a KGW interview. The team got some really good coverage. We had the main story on KGW and we had the opportunity to talk about the problem that was solved by the team, and it was really good. It was a really good interview, and if you get a chance, look it up. It's great to get a little friendly press out there. It was really good. The last thing I'll say, and I'm going to turn it over to Kayla after this, our fire program manager, and then to Kathy after that for a couple of updates. But we also have not forgot about our listening tour. We did a listening tour several months ago. We learned a lot in our listening tour, and hence our literally one of our pops or a couple of our pops have come out of that listening tour. So I just wanted to call that out, that we are we have heard them, and now we are really focusing on the actions that we're going to be taking. Kayla will brief you all on part of that, which we're really looking forward to. And without further ado, turn it over to Paula.
Thank you, Director. Kayla Ballrot for the record. Just a couple of goals for 2025, as Phil was saying, that came out of the listening tour that we went on a few months ago. One of them being what we are calling the 5 Corners Plan. So essentially one of the things that we heard over and over again is more joint regional law enforcement and fire training throughout Oregon. So what we're going to do is kind of touch each area of Oregon with some joint regional law enforcement and fire training. So at the moment, we are working on kind of gathering where those locations will be and what exactly they want in each of those locations so that we can formulate a plan and probably go out there for multiple days and have some joint training, as well as maybe some individual training for just law enforcement and just firefighters as well. So kind of a variety package in each area. For example, a lot of areas mentioned threat training, kind of joint training in that arena. So we will be determining if each area still wants that and if that's something that we can offer. If they want something different, then we'll be working toward that. Another goal will be an NFPA Firefighter One Academy. NFPA is the national standard that we have adopted and which we follow to certified firefighters. It stands for National Fire Protection Association. That will be held here at some point in 2025. We have had a firefighter academy here in the past. It's been several years. It was successful. So we're gonna try that again. Really looking forward to it and hopefully get a good turnout from kind of all over Oregon for that academy. If it goes well, we're gonna look to offer it regionally as well in the future. Another goal is, again, the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, which is the standard that we've adopted for all of our levels of certification. And we have several. We have about 70 levels of certification. They have updated several levels and consolidated those levels as well. So it's all consolidated in NFPA 1010. And what we do is similar to all other disciplines. As we get a work group together, we call it a task force. Talk about those updates, and then those kind of get a push forward to the Fire Policy Committee and then the board. So probably throughout 2025 and beyond, you'll kind of start to see some intermittent updates for those levels of certification and hopefully adoption into rule. So just something to be on the lookout for in the future. And that is my update. I'll happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Kathy Fink for the record. Just a quick overview of kind of professional standards as a whole for the committees. A training session was held to put the meeting protocols kind of in alignment. They were a little bit different in each of the different policy committees. So now they are standardized, and there was a training session for the committee chairs and vice chairs to try to get that streamlined. So that's a work in progress. Some kind of behind the scenes things that have been happening with the standards and certifications team is that they put together a virtual training and held that in June. And we're looking to do it again, maybe twice a year that we can offer that. Just anyone who's filled out our forms and trying to understand our processes. It can be very cumbersome and difficult. And so they're answering a lot of questions. And so we're trying to see if we can do some more outreach to help make sure our forms are clear and that people are feeling more comfortable filling them out. So we have made some changes to some forms, like the F4 and the F4S for separation, and which helps with the F28, which ends up being some of the pieces that get into policy committee. So additionally, we did some outreach and went and contacted Klamath Falls Tribal Police to help them kind of get oriented and situated and established as far as getting their people certified and those kinds of things. And now we're working with Warm Springs. So we're going out there in August to work with them. And then we also have been reaching out to kind of our professional organizations. So we've got a little stint of time in the Oregon APRO NINA training conference in Bend, which is in September. And I'm working with OPOA for their November conference to see if we can get some time there. Just the more people we can reach out to, I think it helps our systems work better inside and make our forms and stuff be more, I guess, easier to translate.
Finally, I'd like to say welcome to Mo Young. Thank you for joining us, as well as Jeremy Hassenkamp from Private Security and Doug Olson, who is our new FBI special agent in charge. So welcome to the three of you. Thank you for being willing to do this. Thank you all for being willing to do this, especially during this time, as busy as it is right now. But this is really important. There's some very important things that come before this board and all the policy committees. And I know it takes a lot of your time, but I really appreciate you doing it, and so do the citizens of Oregon. So thanks again. And pending your questions, I have nothing else. Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair.
For the record, do we know how many vacancies we currently have on the board, and do we know which ones those are? Or maybe where they're at in the process?
So we put forward 3 for the September appointments to fill 1 reappointment and 2 vacancies. I believe aside from that, we are still looking for 1 public member as well as Oregon District Attorneys Association representative and Department of Corrections union representation representative. So I believe that there are 3 aside from the 3 that we just put forward.
Good. Okay, if there's no further questions, I would just echo Director Castle's welcome to new board members. So thank you very much. And thanks to DPSST for all your hard work and presentation on top packages today, because I know there was a ton of work that went into that. So appreciate it. And we will adjourn with our next meeting date, October 24th, 9 a.m.